Welcome to VirtGate TV. Today's guest is Alex Melvin, President of Cannex. Alex, what are you going to show us today?
Hi, Tim. Thanks for inviting me today. We're wanted to show you a couple of things that we've recently introduced in terms of our Canadian annuity quoting services. I want to share with you a couple of things that we're working on as far as development for our Canadian annuity services. We launched early 2013, and then there's a couple of things we're looking at for later 2013 as well. So if everybody's ready, I'll go into the demo now. Does that make sense, Tim?
Yes, we look forward to it.
Okay. I'm on the main Cannex web page, and I've clicked on Canada, obviously, and there's a variety of services and solutions that Cannex offers to the financial services community. But what we're going to talk about today are primarily our Canadian annuity services. Of course, this is the announcement about the new service we've offered, which provides company-specific and client-specific illustrations to support annuity quotes that are done by folks using the Cannex service. So just to give you a quick overview of how that works is typically you would run a real-time survey.
Yeah, I just interject here, Alex, just for our viewers today,
Sure.
that they would get to this through VirtGate.
That's right.
The navigation bar on the left side for those subscribers.
We've set up a transparent access from VirtGate directly to the Cannex system. The screen you're going to see today is slightly different than what you'd see. This is particularly or peculiar to my particular access to the Cannex system. What you typically would say as a Cannex user would be the income annuity details and so on. So as you know, you can simply enter data regarding your client situation, provide information about yourself as well as far as the quote, and then specify the type of quote that you want, the type of funds that are available, the guarantee period, and so on. So these are the default answers that are up on the system at this point. I'm simply, in the interest of time, going to click Submit. So we'll get a pretty standard vanilla quote. What's interesting is now the new feature is with the quote survey that you see here, companies that are underlined, you can now request a specific survey. So in the case of Empire Life, for example, they're quoting $529.15 a month for this particular scenario. I click on the Empire Life name, and it spawns a specific illustration, which is the same. It's a replica of what you would get if you called Empire Life directly. So you no longer have to call Empire Life, regurgitate the quote details to get an illustration that you can review with your client. That's now available from Cannex. I'll just take you back to that quote page for a second. These companies at the bottom are currently making their surveys available, or their illustrations rather, available through Cannex. Sun Life at this point has decided they're not willing to provide the information directly through Cannex. Manulife Investments will be available on December the 8th, I think, is the launch date for their illustrations as part of this service. Equitable Life and Desjardins Financial will be making their illustrations available as part of this service early in 2013. And we're just finalizing things with both Great-West Life and Canada Life to have them included on the service as well. So pretty much all the issuers that you're used to dealing with via Cannex are now making their illustrations available. So I think the highlight of the feature is that you no longer have to have a second step where you remotely go to the issuer and request an illustration, and as you know, in regurgitating the details of the quote, mistakes get made and so on. It's time consuming and so on. And candidly, from the issuer's perspective, they're happy to have us provide the illustrations since their staff aren't being tied up running illustrations for various folks and so on. As you know, how Cannex prices now is that this quote that I just ran, I can run additional quotes on the same annuitant in the next 30 days for the same $5. That would apply to the illustrations as well. So I can start to run various scenarios in terms of rates that I can generate for the client, as well as illustrations to share with the client as well. So that's the service that was introduced a couple of weeks ago to not rave reviews, but certainly positive reviews from everybody in terms of the streamlining the process and so on. The feature we're going to be adding for next year is you would have that illustration from Empire Life. You would then click on that and say, I want to purchase this particular product. What that would do is initiate the purchase, an electronic application that would be submitted to Empire Life using the original quote information, the illustration information. That would be combined with client information that would be housed on an admin system and passed through to Empire Life as far as an electronic application. We're still working out some of the issues as far as wet signatures and so on. We're actually working on this service in the U.S. with a couple of major vendors, software vendors, and their major distribution clients. So I would think this time next year we'll be in a position that people initiate the process to streamline and automate the purchase of income annuities electronically. As you know, we have a service that provides the ability to purchase GICs electronically. That service last year processed some $42 billion worth of transactions. So that same functionality is being adapted to process GIAs as well as income annuities over the next few months. So those are two of the services that, one that's available now and one that we're working on. Another feature that we've added to the service on the left-hand side here on the toolbar is what we're calling Cannex Tools, and that's somewhat self-explanatory. What this does is provides a variety of information to an advisor that he or she could use with a client to provide them with additional information about annuities. It's a bit of a training tool for some folks to some extent, but also provides a variety of information that you can share with your client. So if you've got a client who's deliberating about whether or not they should buy an income annuity, you can do a very quick survey of the marketplace. So again, you'd provide the information. Let's say we're going to have a joint life. In this case, we're going to assume they're both 65. It's $100,000. They've got total investable savings of about $500,000, of which $100,000 is going to be committed to an annuity. This is, again, a scenario. The remaining assets are going to be invested 60% in equities, 40% bonds. They're getting money from CPP and old age security. There's certain assumptions made in terms of returns on bonds and equities versus the rate of inflation and so on. So what happens here is we submit this information. The system then does some calcs, does a variety of scenarios, and comes back with information that the client can use in terms of evaluating whether or not they'd want to buy an annuity. One of the advantages here in the extra annual income that would be available using the annuity scenario that we just ran, there would be an additional $2,300.27 per month by using the annuity because of the benefits and advantages of annuities and so on. There's two other features to this particular report. One is I can view a report. This is about a file of the analysis and information that's or had been provided and generated by the tool. Again, this is something that the agent would share with their client potentially, and it's also informational information for the client or the broker as well. Another feature of this service is the ability to watch a video. What's interesting here is the information contained in this video is based on the quote that we just ran as well.
I remember seeing this at the trade show last week, Alex, and if I recall, though, this is not yet available in Canada. You're looking at January?
Looking exactly, Tim. It's available. It's going to be available in Canada on a test basis, Tim. So we'd like to make it available to you and some of your clients on a test basis for evaluation and feedback and so on. So technically it's available, but it's not widely distributed at this point. But you may have some clients that may be interested in providing us with some input.
I'm sure we do. I'm sure we do.
Click the wrong button there. We're back. My apologies. It's the trouble with live TV, I guess, Tim.
Exactly.
The other situation is with Cannex Tools over here is, for example, the client says, well, what's my return on annuity? Well, that depends how long the client lives. So here's a little tool where you can say to a client, in this particular case, you can put the client name in, prepared by broker. Again, we're going to have a joint life scenario. Again, it's a client with $100,000. You can put in anything very specific to your client, but it's a much quicker entry point than the full survey. You submit that. The system then crunches some numbers and provides a report that outlines the scenarios that are available to clients. Again, the return on annuity, frankly, if you die tomorrow, is not very good. If you live to be 107, it's particularly good. And in the report that we've generated here, there's actually a chart of expected life expectancy versus rate of return for those life expectancies. So again, this is something the broker can use to familiarize themselves with some of the features and advantages of annuities, or provide to a client who's got some questions and so on.
It's very valuable, and annuities are certainly something that should be, I think, part of a retirement planning diversification.
Exactly, Tim. I think diversification is a good idea. Moshe Milevsky calls it product allocation. And we're looking at people that are having combinations of old age security, Canada pension, annuity income, guaranteed minimum withdrawal benefit income, dividends, interest, systematic withdrawal programs, and so on. One size doesn't fit all, so certainly people should be considering, and brokers should be advising people to consider using annuities in their planning. Annuities provide, as you know, mortality credits, which enhances the return relative to other investments.
Right, and then
principal.
On the other side, of course, it reduces the amount of the estate.
Potentially, yeah. Now, what we're finding in Canada is there's an increased interest in cash refund annuities, and how that works is at the point of death, the amount of income paid out is evaluated relative to the initial premium, and an amount is refunded, so the client's guaranteed to receive at least the money they put into the product in the first place.
Correct. So and then that is around 8 or 10 years, I recall, from my annuity days.
I think the math is out there somewhere, depending on the type of product, age of the client, and so on.
So instead of getting 10 years of guarantees, you would get exactly what your original principal was.
Exactly.
No matter what.
If you die prior to the sort of the crossover date.
Yeah, and that certainly has appeal, I think, to the consumer.
Yeah. So those are things that are available. The illustration is available to everybody now in Canada. The tools, we'd be happy to make it available to selected brokers for evaluation and testing over the next couple of months. Two things we're going to be adding in early 2013 will be RIF fund type. So when I go and run my annuity quote, what I've got here is the fund type. Right now we just do these, non-prescribed, prescribed, RSP, RPP, locked-in RSP, as well as deferred profit sharing plan. So RIF fund type will be available early in 2013. The other thing with the non-prescribed annuity is the interest amount that's ascribed to the payout each year varies depending on a variety of characteristics and calculations. As part of the service we'll be providing with the illustrations in January is a schedule of payout values for the taxable portion. So you get the standard quote from Cannex. And in the case of a prescribed annuity, when we run the quote, it provides the taxable monthly portion, and that's fixed throughout the lifetime of the contract.
That's
based
correct.
on the rules supplied by Revenue Canada. In the case of a non-prescribed annuity, that will vary by year. So again, we're going to be providing a full-blown schedule of taxable values for non-prescribed annuities, be a 15 or 20-year horizon on the schedule and so on. So
that's correct. So non-prescribed is going to start high, similar to any other investment, and go down, whereas it's levelized on regular annuity. So not only do you have predictable income for your life, you have predictable taxes on a level basis. Fantastic for somebody retired to be able to do their planning.
Do some planning around that as well. So yeah, more and more of what we're doing, I think, is geared towards supporting the dealer, agent, broker in terms of their discussion with the client, in terms of providing them with more information related to the basic quote, sort of the context of annuities and annuities as part of our retirement planning income, as well as some of the mathematical specifics related to annuities as well. So
fantastic, Alex. Well, I'm certain our customers are going to love the enhancements. I know the ones that have already seen the sales illustration have really enjoyed it, and I'm sure you got the same response at your trade shows.
Exactly. So, Tim, very, very happy to, again, to have a chance to speak with your folks today, and they can certainly reach me at alex@cannex.com, or certainly filter those requests to you as well, Tim. But certainly, we've had a good, healthy relationship with VirtGate, and happy to have clients accessing Cannex via the VirtGate link, as it's certainly a very streamlined process for brokers and works very well for everybody.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Alex.
My pleasure, Tim.